Hey folks, welcome back to Free Range Phoenix. My name's Chris. This is a blog about narcissistic abuse recovery and codependency recovery. Today I'm going to continue with my story. My hope is that this will give some validation to a lot of you who have been going through these difficult things yourselves. So, from last time, some of the things that I think I should address. So this person, this girl, it was a long distance relationship. I live in Scotland. I'd been here for about 6, well, coming up on a year by the time I started properly dating this girl. She lived in New Jersey, and pursuing that kind of, I think, pursuing a long distance relationship like that, that's problematic in itself, and it does say something about me and my codependency that I would do that. Because there were, I could list a few things that were traits and qualities and features of this woman that I really valued in her. But regardless of anything else, yes, the fact that I pursued her so much, it shows that I didn't have any kind of abundance mindset. Once I started getting attention and affection from this person, I pursued it very hard. I was very emotionally invested. So I'm aware, I have a growing awareness of my own role in what happened. So where we left off, I had spent, I think, one long weekend with her in and around Philadelphia. So I visited back to Philadelphia. I'm not sure if that was the next trip. She has family in Europe, so she was coming this way to see them, and I was like, well, why don't we meet up? Because I've this past 3 years I've only been working a condensed week, so I would only work on a Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday night, 12-hour shifts, and then I'd have Thursday and most of Monday off, so it enabled me to kind of spend those long weekends traveling. So either her idea or mine, we caught up. The next thing was she was visiting family in Norway, near Oslo. So that trip, I think, was mostly enjoyable, except, again, in terms of these problematic behaviors and gestures and decisions on her part. Now, I traveled to Norway just to see her. And she decided not. I wouldn't have gone there without her agreement, but she decided not to see me the first day I was there, which I have some difficulty with all these kinds of decisions, because on the one hand I think, okay, so people are free to make their own decisions. People should be free to go with their gut and not do things they don't want to do. But if you've agreed for somebody to come and spend come and join you on this weekend, and there's travel involved and money, and that person's reason for going there is to see you, then it's pretty disrespectful to say, oh, I'm not going to see you today. Yeah, so that was the start of the Norway trip. Now, this girl had said she was... oh, well, I'll get back to that. Another problem then was we met up with a friend of hers in Norway. She was... my ex was Christian, and she knew somebody from the church somehow who was living in Norway. So she wanted to meet up. I had no problem with this, and I tried to have it so that the three of us, were conversing and having a good time. There came a point in the evening at this bar where the two of them were discussing religion, which is not... I wasn't raised religiously, and, I can't really relate to that. So I kind of let them get on with it, but... Again, bearing in mind I was there to see her, she then just talked to that guy for hours. And, I had a couple of drinks, I chatted with other people. But definitely, I don't think it was okay for her to just totally devote all her attention to this one person. Knowing that I was there to see her. I mean, it's rude not to involve somebody, like I was there by myself apart from them. I think it's rude not to keep it, going between the three of us. And so when that place closed at, I don't know if it was about 2 or 3 in the morning, I was pissed off, and we went back to my hotel, and I told her how pissed off I was. I was angry. Now, up to that point, this is what I was going to say earlier, up to that point, she had told me that she'd been celibate for about 6 months, since her last relationship or whatever. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. She had previously, when I was in Philadelphia, she told me that she would have done it with me, but she was glad I didn't press it. She respected me more for not pressing it. And another problematic thing I remember from Philadelphia, the first weekend in hindsight, so there was a night there where it was like a party night, and we met up with friends of hers, a big group of friends in Philadelphia itself. And it was a good time and everything, but we drove there and we didn't have anywhere to stay, and she got very drunk. Now, I know it's possible to not realize how much you're drinking or how strong things are, but we got back to her car and she said... Well, she wanted to drive, and I insisted that she not drive and sort of sleep in the back of the car, and I would just, kind of stay awake and keep an eye on things. She slept for an hour or two, and then she insisted on driving home. Now, this is so risky. DUI is such a big deal, and this person... her job means that a DUI would be a particular problem, that kind of behavior. Well, she's in the military. She's in the American Air Force. So it would have been big trouble for her, but she just didn't believe it was going to happen, that it was possible for her to get caught, or I guess she felt that if she did, she'd get out of it, which... More on that kind of stuff later. Anyway, back to Oslo. And so we did end up, after I shouted at her, we did end up doing it that night. Now, she told me later that it was because in being angry, she said nobody ever stands up to her, and in being angry, I showed that I really did care. Now I wonder if it was a manipulative thing for her to do it, to kind of shut me up because she knew she was in the wrong. I didn't think that at the time, obviously. I was just happy that it had happened. There was another, basically, because there's different layers here, and this is one reason that I find it so difficult to sift through the various things that have happened, is because I know that I am not my background, my past. I wasn't raised with great models for love, relationships, any of these things, and I've come away with issues because of that. But I know that there are different levels of relating, and I've learned this through being made into a detective by going through an abusive relationship, because trust me folks, this story gets a lot worse. So there's the layer of how men and women relate, and things that I might not have been doing right there, or she also wasn't, and then there's the layer of attachment styles, and she could say, she was the one who first mentioned attachment styles. She knew she was avoidant, and I came to learn that I am anxiously attached. But then there's the other level, which is the most problematic, which is the narcissism and codependency level. Now, obviously in this channel, I'm focusing on that. My goal would be to become good at handling all these, because I don't have trouble I don't have trouble with meeting people. I don't have trouble with attraction, seduction, that sort of stuff. I can meet women. It's just the relationships then bring up the behaviors from these other layers, which are more problematic. So anyway, there's the stuff that happened in Norway. I still came away from that thinking it was a good trip. I knew that I'd been mad at her, but I kind of let it go. But that trip was, again, I saw some problematic stuff.